Let's use recursion to go through a string, and I'm first enter it in as a number. So I got 1541131, and we want to go through and we want to count how many ones there are in that number. Again, recursion is not the simplest way to do this. It's just a way. I would probably put it into a string and then just go through character counting it, which is kind of what we're doing here, but we're going to use recursion. Okay, so I'm going to do a file, new project, Java application, next, and I'll click finish. You probably want to put names that mean something with what you're working with on there. Okay, and I'll be bringing in something. Let's see. Import java.util.scanner. And I got it in the wrong place again. I guess. There it goes. And I'll come down here and I'll say scanner input equals new scanner system dot in. And let's see, I'll be inputting an integer, so I need an integer. And I'll say system.out.print input number. And num is equal to input.next int. Okay, so we're brought in our number. I want to convert it to a string. So I'll say string s. S is equal to string dot value of num. And now I want to call count. So this will be public static. Let's see, what am I going to return? Maybe I return the number, count. So that's integer, and then count it. I'll pass in my string, and then I'll keep track of my my count. So integer count. Doing this on the fly, so it may take a little bit of a little bit of test or playing here. I don't like to use count. Count is equal to 0 to begin with. Okay, there we go. I don't like to use scripts because it takes fun away from these when I'm creating them. And count it. And pass in s dot count. Now these names do not have to match what we have down here. And missing return. Okay. So I'm going to I'm bringing that in. I've converted it to a string. I'm bringing it in. And I'm going to say if s dot equals 1, then I'm going to increase count by 1. Actually, I like doing count equals count plus 1. Else, I know I want more up here. also probably want to do this, the length of it. Okay. So I'll say if s dot length is less than 0, it's greater than 0. Then I'm gonna perform this. So I'll say if it's equal to that, I increase that by 1. There we go. I'll come back to that. I don't think I need that. Let's see. Okay, so if it's equal to 1, then I do that. And then I'll say count it. I'll call it again. And I'm going to pass in s dot substring? Yeah, substring. Beginning index, ending index. I didn't remember the exact syntax. Substring. I'll do a beginning parentheses. It's going to start at 0, and it'll go to s dot length. 0 comma dot s dot length minus 1. So that'll get rid of my that'll get rid of the last character. There's my closing parentheses for the substring, closing parentheses for count it. And it doesn't like something. Let's see what that says. Count it, applied to given string integer, found string, actual, different in length. Just count it as passing in the count also. Okay. So I'm going to do a comma, count. There we go. And up here, I don't want to do s equals. I want to do s dot substring 0 s dot length s dot length comma 1 dot equals 1 okay. What this should do, when I say s dot length, let's say the string is 5, well, this one right here, this would be a length of 6. So I'm, in theory, taking this last character here, which is 6, and going distance of, except for substring goes from this to this, doesn't it? It's not how many characters. S dot length. Dot equals. Okay. That should pick up our last character. Hopefully. There is a problem with this though, because while the length of this is 6, remember our indexing goes from 0 to 5. This is the 0th position, 1st position, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th. Which means that this won't quite work. I have to have a -1 here. And then -1 here. Now that changes this slightly. Let me see. Here I'm going to go from my 0th position. That's this one. And length would be 0. I think I want 0 minus 2. There. And count. And then down here, I'm going to do a return count. Recursion takes me a little bit, so we might have to do some playing on this to see to get it right. Okay, now I'm returning an integer, but I'm not assigning it to an integer up here. So I need to assign it to an integer. Let's call that my answer. And here I'll say answer equals count it. And system.out.println answer is plus answer. Well, let's see how many problems I have. Let's just run it. I don't think it'll work, but be shocked if I get it right the first time. The number I was going to enter in was 154,131,31. Answer is 0. So obviously that's not working. Okay, well let's think this through now. Now that I've slapped some code down here that doesn't work. Okay, so I'm guessing that's all converting correctly and everything. I could print S to begin with, but I can't imagine that wouldn't be working up there. Unless that's too big of a... That should be fine. If I remember the debugging, line breakpoint here. Do this. Input number 154131. This will be whether I can actually remember how to debug. Okay. Put my number over there. 154131. S is not assigned anything yet because we haven't done it. Let me do a debug, which is step into, step over. I think it's step into. Let's try that. Okay. Now see what S is 154131. Okay, that works. And answer. Was it F7? I believe. F7 comes down to here. S is this. Length of that comes down to here. S. Bet there isn't a way to expand this. Probably is, and I just don't know it. Okay, but the length of this is 6. So 6 minus 1 is 5. And 6 minus 1 is 5. So it'll be 5 comma 5 equals 1. Then F7. And of course it bounces out there where I don't want it to. So let me stop that. Debug. Yeah, come up here. Stop that. Okay, now clear this breakpoint by clicking that. So that told me what I really want to know there without putting a system.out.println in there. Okay, so let me think this through now. 6 is my length. Maybe I don't understand what substring does. Substring. Come down to here. Returns a new string that is a substring. The substring begins at specified beginning index and extends the character at index -1. Ah. Which means that this wouldn't be good to put a -1 here because it's doing that for me automatically. So that should be that. Now this right here, -2. First inclination is just change that to 1. But let me think that through. 0. Okay, it's 6 to begin with. 6 minus 1 is 5. 6 minus 1 would be 5. I think I don't want that. Let's try that. Sometimes it's a lot easier to just try something, see if it works, and sit there and think too hard on it. 154131. Stack overflow error. Wonder where it's getting that stack overflow error. Okay. Debug project. 154131. Come down to here. Let's see, I'm gonna go to my next continue. Gets down to there, okay. Okay. Continue. Comes down to here. Count is equal to 1. Okay, that looks like it worked for the first one, doesn't it? And continue. Comes up to here. Little disappointed it didn't update my S down here. It just says 154131. It does. It didn't change. I wanted it to decrease by 1. So that's my problem. So this should be -1. So let's try that. Sorry. Oops, I didn't mean to run that. Stop this. Okay, let me do a debug and debug project. These breakpoints are invaluable. Now put in 154131. Comes down to here. Okay, look what my S is. It's 154131. Okay, I'll click this continue here. Comes down to here. Okay, that's fine. Down there, calls itself again. 15413. It dropped off the last character. That's exactly what I wanted to do. Comes down to here. It's another one. Each time I press this continue, it goes to the next breakpoint. My count is still 1, which is good because my next character, I guess going backwards, would be a 3. Okay, so then keep going, and looks like it's going there. So let me go ahead and stop this, finish the debugger session. Get rid of these breakpoints. You just click on the line, what do you click on? Still running, isn't it? Okay, then 154131. Answer is 1, so that's not right. So let's go back and put our breakpoints back in. Breakpoint there, breakpoint there, breakpoint there. And I'm returning that. Okay. Now I know why, because I'm not adding it. It's returning it, but not then adding it. Okay, so count it. Sometimes I miss the most obvious. This should be count is equal to count. I'm surprised it didn't give me an error. Okay, and that's going to return an integer. Okay, checks that, so count is equal to count plus 1. So I add 1 to it, so then I'm going to add whatever that returns. Let's try that. I don't know about that. Oops. 12. That's probably not working right. 154131. 14. Okay, so let me think this through now. If it's equal to 1, then we're increasing the count. I'm passing in count, but then I'm going to return. Okay, let's try that. 154131. Oops. 151. Well, anyway, counted them correctly, it looks like. Let's try it again. 1133 441. Answer's 3, so it's working now. Recursion is tricky. It takes me a while. I really have to think about it. And think what I'm saying here is tricky. Typically, I worked as a computer programmer for 13 years. Tricky is usually not something you want to put in if there's another way you can do it. And there's definitely another way to do this, very simple way. You can just do a loop here, up here, and that would easily do it without any kind of trickiness. Why is tricky bad? Well, tricky is bad because somebody else has to come in here and understand what in the world was this person doing. So it may take them an hour to figure out what's going on. Well, if you got a computer program that's down, an hour is too long. So keeping it simple is the best bet in programming. So recursion should be used minimally. And I will show one example where we have to use a recursion type of setup. Some of the examples I've shown so far, you can do other methods. Anyway, that's going through and counting how many ones are in a number.